We conquered the Farmer's Bridge flight. What an experience that was. Incredible architecture built over the old canal system. And we've come up through the Aston flight, all the way from Spaghetti Junction. And it's kind of left me thinking now, all right, I'm at the top. So to get to the top, there's a lot of water gone downhill into those locks to bring us up. So where does that water come from, is what I'm left thinking. Where, if you're on top of a hill, what's draining into you other than the rainwater? And there hasn't been a lot of rain. So that's quite incredible what's going on there. And I think what I need to do from here is go and do a little bit of study and a bit of research into just where does that water come from, and where did it come from back in 1780. So I'll pick that up and get back to you. For now, I've earned this. Oh. Now I can see where we've come from. Everything out there is below me. We've come some 200 feet up from Fazeley through Spaghetti Junction, up the Aston flight, up the Farmer's Bridge flight. Where are we? We're at Edgbaston Reservoir. So Edgbaston Reservoir was Telford's answer to how to get water into that Birmingham canal network. So this is 300 million gallons of water. It's 40 foot deep. And it was always just a commercial purpose. That's all it was there for, to put water into the system to allow people to have their goods transported where they needed it. But now it's all about leisure. We've got sailing, we've got rowing, we've got fishermen, we've got sea cadets, we've got people walking their dogs. It's here for leisure. If those people knew back then what they were producing, it's just amazing, isn't it? It came from nowhere. But look, I'm still a little bit troubled about where this water comes from, because we're at the top now, and this can't all come from out of the sky. We're going to see a guy from Birmingham Canal Navigation Society. Hopefully he's got a lot more answers for me. Let's go and see Phil.
Now when I say let's go see Phil, it's actually about a 4-hour cruise with 9 locks to ascend. The pounds on these locks are renowned for dropping a bit low, so here I go, off to run some water down. It's a challenging flight, as are the water levels up on the Titford Canal and indeed in the pools, hence it being a Silver Propeller location. So if you're trying to tick a few of those off, this is one you've got to come to.
Welcome to the glory that is Titford Pools. Now, we spoke at Edgbaston Reservoir about where does that water come from. Well, this is it. This is where some of that water's come from. Yes, there is a small natural supply going into Edgbaston Reservoir, but beyond that, there's this. Now we're, I don't know, 7 miles, something like that from Edgbaston Res. So it's getting there through culverts, it's getting there through pipelines, it's getting there by all manner of means, and that's sort of evolved over the years. Now, Titford's been here quite a long time, but back in sort of the Edwardian days, probably Victorian to Edwardian, this place was used for, it was a park, it was a boating lake. People would come and promenade around here in all their fineries. It was the place to come. You look at it now, you know, the M5 is sort of intersecting it. There's one or two ne'er-do-wells knocking about, let's say. But it's still a proper haven for wildlife. There's a heronry over there. There are swans with their young. There are many seabirds in here, ducks of all nature. There's a lot of anglers here. I suspect there's some very old fish in here. So it's still a glorious place to be. It's a shame it's kind of fell by the wayside, but the likes of Birmingham Canal Navigation Society, the CRT, it's a never-ending process. They have to keep at it, but it is still needed. It is still needed for the function that it was set out to do, and that was to supply water into the Birmingham Canal Navigations.
So a quick trip down a very shallow canal towards the top of the Crow Locks, and ultimately to meet Phil Wild at Titford Pump House, which is the headquarters for the BCNS, that's the Birmingham Canal Navigation Society. So we're going past bygone industries en route, this being the most famous, the Langley Maltings. And here's our resident expert. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Phil Wild of the Birmingham Canal Navigation Society. The following 90 minutes were a blur. Phil was an incredible human data bank. I don't think there was anything that he didn't know. His passion for sharing was immense as he shifted through the so many different subjects associated with the BCN. And this is just a small proportion of what we actually discussed.
How do you suddenly take land out of somewhere?
Well, you dig, and it was all done by hand, cart.
Okay.
What was more important was they didn't want to shut the canal while they were doing it.
Okay.
And that was the tricky bit. So they had to do half of the cut and then bring the other cut down in stages so they could have continuity. It only actually shut, they say, for 20 days over a 2 or 3 year period. But it's a fabulous piece of engineering done by hand. So they dragged that down, and so you're back to your 3 locks either end now, but retain the Smethwick engine to pump the water up there. At the same time, they doubled the locks that side as well. So there were 6 locks parallel, 2 3s in Smethwick. Still problems with water. They beefed up the Smethwick engine. They were pumping the water up. They're also taking it from the streams as well. There's water coming from everywhere. Shove it back in across the engine arm, which at that stage was just it was just a feed and nothing else. It wasn't the canal.
Yeah.
Right.
You hadn't got an aqueduct.
Because you hadn't got the aqueduct there. Yeah. It was just a feeder across to the top of the locks. Moving on to the 1820s, the BCN as it was, some working out that this is just still not a viable solution. And we're going into Telford's era now. So Telford comes along and says, right, the only way to do this, obviously the technology had moved on. We can dig now, we know what we can do. We need to go straight on. This was the early 1820s when this was done. It actually didn't get finished till 1838 up to Tipton. So Telford, we're going to do this. Starts down at the Birmingham end and starts to cut through straight, and he just cuts straight through that with the line that you see today.
Yeah.
So the others with the loops that you see.
Oozles.
Yeah, all of those. So it's the original line,
Soho.
all the way circling around towards Smethwick. Went up, put the engine arm in as a proper cut across, put the aqueduct in, which is not a folly, but it was a statement of what they could do.
Oh, okay.
Didn't need to be there. Could have been a brick bridge, really.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be. But it was a statement of what iron and engineering could do at that time. And it's in its own right. That is a fabulous piece of work.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It really is. Stewart Aqueduct is where the old canal comes across the new canal.
Yeah.
To come down to here.
Yeah.
So it's another fabulous statement of engineering. 3 or 4 bridges in a row.
Yes.
And the 3 or 4 bridges are the Chances bridges.
And the M5's all over the top, and there's
the only
railways
place,
and all
if
sorts.
you go on the right day, you get a lower canal, upper canal, railway, motorway, plane.
Yeah, okay.
The elusive picture.
Yeah.
What's called Braids Junction. Braids locks are interesting because it's the only staircase locks on the BCN.
Yeah.
And then you've got the new line from Birmingham to Wolverhampton. The only locks you've got, the last bit of the jigsaw, is they put locks in at factory locks at Tipton. There's a lot going on in that little area of Tipton.
Yeah.
There were more canals in Tipton than there were in Birmingham than there were in Venice.
Okay,
I always put this spin in it just for amusement value. But so he's finished the canal then. Final bit of the jigsaw, I've still got to sort the water issues out as well as part of the plan. So he determined that they've also got to feed Farmers Bridge in. 13 locks worth of water down per boat, up and down, and it's one of the busiest places in the country. They put lights in to work 24 hours a day. Telford, I'm trying to sort out the water situation. His solution was, I need a reservoir over that end of the world, and so he envisaged what became Rotten Park, Edgbaston Reservoir, call it what you will. Fed a bit by local streams, but not sufficient. So he had a look on the map and, bloody hell, got this place up here. I can use that.
And this being higher than that.
Yeah, this is the highest. Apart from on the BCN, this is the highest level you'll come to. He knows he's feeding water into Spawn Lane from here, and you can see I can use that. So, but he knew that when he's going to put his cutting through, he's got a problem. He either aqueducts it there and keeps it going to Spawn Lane, and that's all he does. But he had the idea of being able to circulate the water around the system. I'll move that feeder down to Rotten Park. Okay?
Yeah.
Again, it's totally hidden from sight. It's a massive piece of engineering because what he's had to do, this is 511 foot up, this canal.
Yeah.
Birmingham levels 453, Wolverhampton levels 473. So he's only got 28 feet to play with across a 5 or 6 mile plain.
Yeah.
And he's got to have the Rotten Park's got to be somewhere above the 473, so the water pressure from there could drop down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's dropping from here to there, I'd say about 10 to 12 feet across 5 miles.
Yeah.
That's a slow gradient.
Yeah.
And something you've got to keep going. And stood in the way again, one of the other hills of Smethwick is Cape Hill.
Right.
So he had to tunnel through Cape Hill and put a trough through in effect.
Yeah.
It's still there to this day. This still operates to this day. Next bit, Telford in his design says, I want to feed still both levels, Birmingham level, Wolverhampton level. I want to feed them out of Rotten Park. I also want to reverse the situation as well. When it rains a lot, the level pens, which is the Wolverhampton and the Birmingham level, are a huge reservoir in their own right.
Yeah.
If my pool's running dry from a bad summer, I'll shove water back up there again as well. And this is all part of recirculating the water around the system. And that came back into the engine arm. Have you been down the moorings down there?
Yeah.
But on the right is where the feeder comes back in. And you'll see pump arrangements there.
Yeah.
It's still in place, but they don't use it anymore. And that's where the water came back. A bit like they canalise this bit, to make a bit of it, they canalise the engine arm as part of the Titford bit.
Yeah.
But that was really to bring coal to these engines.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so you could bring coal in front coal fields to feed the engines, because otherwise it's had to be carted up. And at Braidley is a pumping station there that drops the borehole down into the mines, a few hundred feet below, and that feeds water into the system as well. And that's still working to this day and is used extensively. Cannock Chase is a big dispute as to the owners of Cannock Chase Reservoir. I think Stafford County Council, and they're all arguing with CRT as to who's doing maintenance on it, because they want the maintenance done but nobody wants to pay for it. They weren't going to straighten it at one time because it wasn't that much of a deviation, but it fell, it dropped in the mud.
So inside the headquarters, it's full of archives, maps, old photos and mementos of bygone times. It's incredible.
That's all gone. And then that's all I wanted to start charging people. That's when your toll stations,
Yeah, that's
all the key features of a system on here.
Yeah.
Those are the names of the collieries: Lion, Lamb, Ramrock and Birchiefield.
Okay, yeah.
They're all at their own system.
So this is the Newall branch then.
yeah.
So that's where it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So the longboat is at the top of the locks.
Yeah, and it now just comes into that's Cambrian Wharf
Yes,
then
as
here.
is now. Yeah. It's called a Dollarite Hill.
Right.
It's known locally as Rowley Rag.
Okay.
The old canal measuring from Winson Green to Rotten Park. This is in miles, furlongs and chains.
Chains.
And links. They have links.
So this is all the different boats and their measurements.
Yeah.
And we're back out. Phil's going to take me along the Tap Bank branch, show me where the water heads off towards Edgbaston Reservoir. Now, the BCNS regularly targets certain areas with a working party to carry out a clean-up. Just look at that lot. Here we go, myself and Phil walking along the Tap Bank branch.
Just been speaking to Phil from Birmingham Canal Navigation Society, and he's now shown me that this is what actually goes to Rotten Park Reservoir. That's exactly where we were the other day, Edgbaston Reservoir, we now know it as today. Phil is an incredibly educated guy with regards to the Birmingham Canal network. He's told me about a myriad of tunnels and waterways, culverts, siphon pipes that go under railways. Absolutely incredible. It's opened my eyes to how this whole system has to work to get water, and it's not just about the water that's going into the canals in the Birmingham city centre area. There's water going backwards and forwards. It's a complete water management system that needed to take place and evolve from back in the day of Brindley right through Telford and then beyond Telford into what was their future, and it all needed to happen. This water management, depending on different seasons, depending on what manufacturing systems were happening that were taking water, mind blown. Well, Titford Pools is bringing about quite a few surprises. There's a lot more here than I thought, and Phil from the Birmingham Canal Navigation Society has really identified a lot more to us. So this, what we've got here, is just it's a simple culvert. It looks like you think, oh, that's some sort of modern drainage channel. It's actually been here for centuries. It's all part of that water management system that I'm talking about, how things were fed into the pools, how things were taken away from the pools, how things came from collieries, how things were pumped out of collieries. There's so much more here than I bought a narrowboat and I'm suddenly in this completely different world. So proper surprise. So what we have here is the might of the M5. I mean, the guys who built this must have thought, who's left this lake here? Because, you know, it's a problem to us. But hey, it's got to stay because this still does a job. As, you know, we're going back a century and a half or something since it was put here, and it still does a job. So these guys with this modern road can do one. We've covered the water supply now as to how that actually gets into the system. Now in doing that, I've discovered there's this evolution of the whole setup. That is a confusion still to me. I need to understand why it's changed from the days when Brindley put that first one in. What has had to happen? Why did that happen? And what does that now look like? So I think the guy to see again is Mr. Phil Wild from the BCNS, because he's got so much information there. Let's speak to Phil. Let's find out whether we can put a finger on things, and then let's go and actually have a look at what's out there. So, Phil, so this is great. I get the impression that it's not always been like this though. How did this all start back in the day?
Okay, Dad. The original thinking was streams would come off the Rowley Hills over there and go past us over to the right, and they also go past us to the left. This would have been a natural depression that would have filled with water and probably had a small lake. And then when they built the original canal, they could see that this was to some advantage of a pool to go with the Great Smethwick Pool and the other little pool that was over at Smethwick as a resource to feed between Sponline Locks and Smethwick Locks. So it would have been widened out over time, probably went through several iterations over the years, and then would have been fed, as we've seen, down on the path, going down to Titford, from Titford going off to the right over Spon Lane, and then going across to Sponline Locks to feed the upper level there in its original form. Okay. And then diverted later on to go all the way across to Rotten Park Reservoir, where it's basically dropping just a few feet between this level there at 511 feet and somewhere around about the 470, 480 mark over at the top of Rotten Park. Okay. As it feeds in.
Okay. So originally then we're looking at a couple of streams. Yeah. They'd have tapped into that resource by digging out a bigger hole than perhaps what was already there, and then using it from there.
Yeah, and then as the arms were extended out into the colliery areas, and that would have probably extended this out as well.
Ah, yeah,
to keep the levels up all at this level above the locks.
Brilliant, that answers that, thank you.
Honestly, ask him a question, he's got the answer. So that'll do for today. A really big thank you to Phil Wild and the BCNS. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. It's free, you know. See you soon. Bye bye.